All right, party people, welcome back. Let's kick it off. Welcome to Show and Tell. This silky voiced bastard is Tone.
And the voice that you are hearing right now is Tone.
I'm trying it out, see how it feels. This whole
Yeah.
legit setup is doing things for me.
Shout, can we just say shout out to the hardworking people that keep our sound stages organized? This is the third week in a row that we're wearing the same outfits, that we're in the same
Hair
location.
is exactly in the same
Again,
way. Tony may or may not be
yeah,
wearing that hat.
hat is actually no this you're gonna really be impressed by this, Tone. I'm actually not wearing a hat. This is all editing, a little movie magic, they say, smoke and mirrors. The hat was actually added in post, so it's crazy that you can see it because we're recording in real
I'm
time.
just going
So
off the notes what they gave me. They
post
said make sure to
post
they said make sure to mention Tony's hat, how it may or may not be on. He'll riff about post.
post hasn't even happened yet, and this is really proving the point that time is
No,
not real.
not until we're in the metaverse.
Time? Yeah, okay, dude. Okay.
How do you feel about Facebook rebranding?
Oh, you mean that thing that happened 2.5 years ago when they renamed it Meta?
I got tripped out for a sec. I was like, "Oh my god, what?"
Yeah, no, I think it's dumb, but I haven't. Okay, so the only thing I know or have seen about Facebook rebranding as Meta is somebody took the big, like, 30-minute press release that
I
they
know
did,
exactly what you're gonna
and
talk.
they they edited it, and we'll put this out on the Twitter, which is at Show and Tell Pod 2. Um, and it just took it every single time one of the employees of Facebook said experience and made a
Oh,
supercut.
okay.
So it's just like a minute and 50 seconds of Mark Zuckerberg, like, soulless, like, going the experience, 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 and it's just like so
Okay, so
alarming.
I didn't,
Extremely
I didn't
funny,
know that's what you
amazing
were
video.
talking about, but now I'm gonna look it up.
What were you talking about? I'm gonna throw it on the
I'm
Twitter feed
I
right
was
now.
talk I was
What were
talking
you
about
talking
the
about?
one screen grab where uh the Zuck is talking in front of that thing and all
Oh,
you see is the fucking sweet baby Rays chilling out.
yeah,
Why?
yes,
Why?
yes.
And literally like that was all Renee
Um,
wanted to talk about yesterday. She's like, "Why? Why what a freak. Who's obsessed with barbecue sauce like that?" I was like, yes, but like also just so why? Why?
I mean, it, like, very obviously, at least to me, is like, their crew had like 20 minutes
But
to
somebody
make a
put
set,
sweet baby it
and
had to be a joke.
they were just like, okay, this kind of looks
It looks like a
like
maze.
maybe, yeah, it looks sort of like a vase, and they
Oh
called
my
it a
god.
vase. Um,
You would think
oh, I want to find the
you would think
experience
Mark
video so bad.
Zuckerberg
It's
would
so
have
funny.
people in his circle that are trying to avoid him becoming a meme. Like because it happens so often. You would think he would have to hire somebody to be like, hey Mark, just be careful. Be careful how much sunscreen you put on. You don't want to be you
Yeah,
don't want this
right.
picture blown up. But no, he doesn't have that person. So we get this picture and then
You're gonna put
I
that
may or
in
may not.
post, which I have already seen because time isn't
um
real.
so
Um, See, damn it! Now we're doing the everybody's favorite
um
segment is back. Just old men
oh, okay, so
scrolling
then
through
I'm definitely
Twitter,
going to chop like at least 2 minutes from the last episode
which we recorded
or
7 days
7
ago.
days from now.
Dude, so can I jump into it? Because that's actually like a pretty good.
That
That's
was
like a
my
pretty
goal.
good segue. Yeah, well, it worked. So, hi everybody. My name is Tone, and what I brought to show today is the best video game that I have ever hated in my life. The video game is The Last of Us Part 2, and there is a lot of things to say about The Last of Us Part 2. But what's funny, for our purposes as like time travelers, is that The Last of Us 2 continues the story of The Last of Us 1, which is like a 10-year-old game, so I'm kind of comfortable spoiling it. It's the story of a guy named Joel who lost his family in a zombie kind of apocalypse scenario. There was like
I
an
was gonna say
infection,
not so much a
and in
zombie
fact,
apocalypse, more of an infection, a pandemic of
well,
sorts.
I mean, some might say that.
Some might.
And see, I didn't want to
Some
make the comparison though,
some
because
might be so
if
bold
we're gonna
as to
compare it to
say.
if we're gonna make the comparison, our heroes of the video game are actually the villains in reality, because at the end of that game, Joel, it is introduced, or during the course of the game, Joel is introduced to this young girl named Ellie who is immune, and he takes her from New England to Salt Lake City. Yes.
Have you ever heard of the YouTube channel Game Theory?
No.
Awesome. You're gonna have to send me the login to the Twitter, because I'm gonna put a video that you need to watch. It's literally a video essay, and it is about The Last of Us 2, and
Cool.
it's the perfect nerdy soup. Like, I got Renee
Love it.
hooked onto
It's
it,
right up my
but he
alley.
has like 3 different channels. He's the worst, but also the best. He's also from Ohio. His name's Matt Pat. Yeah.
My kind of guy.
Okay,
My
so
kind
sorry
of
to cut.
guy. Yeah. So Ellie's immune, and the whole first game, you're Joel, and you're trying to safely get Ellie to Salt Lake City to find these doctors who are gonna help develop a
Vaccine.
cure based on Ellie's immunity. But Joel
I
learns
have to
that in
kill
order
him.
to do that, they have to kill Ellie. So, like any good father, when his child or child figure is threatened, Joel hulks out and
Murders the
murders the whole
entire
hospital.
medical staff. Question: what did you do on your first
This
playthrough? Did you save Ellie, or did you let it go through?
Okay, so obviously in 2013, which is when that game came out, I was not a father, nor was I about to be a father. But I like to think I've always had those paternal instincts, because I didn't even
Exactly. Me
flinch.
either. Me
Didn't
either. I was
even
like, get the fuck
flinch.
out of here. That guy's getting domed.
Yeah, trust the science. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah,
It's there's not enough
yeah.
research done. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want that to be a.
I think I'd like to do a little research myself on this supposed cure you're working on. See, that's why we can't compare Last of Us to COVID, because
Because
the good guys in The Last of Us are COVID
are
deniers.
Karens and Trumps. Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, and it's not a good comparison, because we want to believe optimistically in the fate of humanity on
Yes.
this podcast, but in the video game, one of the striking features of The Last of Us is that there are no good guys. So The Last of Us Part 2, I want to say this. I mean, it's like a year and a half old now, so I guess it's fair game, but I'll try to
Spoiler,
not do too
spoiler,
many spoilers.
potential, but potential spoiler alert.
Yeah. So the plot, at least at the beginning of the game makes you think that the people who, okay, so Joel kills everybody in the hospital in Salt Lake City, and then he and Ellie go join a settlement in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Many years have passed between the two games, and at the beginning of The Last of Us Part 2, the people from the hospital track down Joel and extract their revenge. So then The Last of Us Part 2 is Ellie getting revenge on the people who got revenge on Joel. And it, like the first game, it's like an action horror adventure game. You're moving around. A lot of the game takes place in Seattle, so you're like kind of in post-apocalypse. Nature took Seattle back.
Very, very
And
beautiful
you're
game. Even on PS4, like on PS5, I'm sure it's
Or oh yeah, I couldn't imagine playing it on PS4 too.
What?
Yeah, I
PlayStation
guess.
what?
I'm sure it looks
PlayStation
fine.
White? What is that? What is
Can
that?
like count the pixels on the screen.
720p?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
God
So
damn.
in the game, you're playing as Ellie and you're hunting down the people that did the bad thing to Joel. And over the course of the game, you have to make these hard, terrible, evil, cruel decisions. And what is unique about it is that the game like tricks you into like being terrible. And I'll give a
Right.
perfect
I was
example.
gonna
So
say it's very
um
it so the whole game is so gray. Every decision
yeah,
feels
big time.
wrong.
Big time.
It feels like the wrong one as you're making it, but you're like, yeah,
Kinda
like,
though.
is it that
So
wrong?
here, so
Yeah.
he- so here's an example. Yeah, so here's a good example. You get, at some point you track down the bad guys and you're like outside their camp or whatever. So you're sneaking around, you're playing as Ellie, you're sneaking around and you find one of them and you sneak up behind him and you break his neck. Okay? Then you go hide and you see that one of the other bad guys is like on a patrol and they're looking for you. They're trying to kill you. And they go over, they discover the corpse. Okay, and in most video games, when that happens, the bad guy would see the other dead bad guy and be like, "Boo, raise the alarm." Not in The Last of Us Part 2. In The Last of Us Part 2, the dude goes up to the corpse, picks it up, and is like, "Oh my god, Craig, we were gonna have dinner together, and now I don't." And then he just like started sobbing, and you're supposed to feel really bad about that. But what I did is said, "You killed my dad," and then I went and broke his neck too.
It's
It felt
so
good.
and before I played The Last of Us, the first one, I'd never been into games like that. Like I was always more uh action adventure rather than
I
adventure horror part.
mean, The Last of Us is
I
like
I feel
a
like it no
action
it's
game.
it
I
definitely
mean,
has its action, but I wouldn't like it's not like a Skyrim or like something like that where it's like all
okay, yeah, yeah, yeah,
so but
yeah.
I don't know how I picked up The Last of Us 1, but whatever. Anyway, played it, loved it, amazing. So when the
So
second
good.
one came out, I was pretty fresh on it. Like I played The Last of Us for the first time maybe like 2 years ago. Like like I
Oh,
played it and then I found out The Last of Us 2 was coming out like soon. So I was like, "Oh, okay, this is going to be sick." And I'm super not into
mhm.
horror games, but The Last of Us 2, the especially the section where you're Abby and you're like in that hotel was the one where you're in the skyscraper.
Oh, dude, when you're like in the yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
trying to
So
go back
that
down.
was
Right.
like the most stressed out I have ever been playing a video game because I don't like horror games. I don't even like scary movies. That shit is not for
Sure.
me.
Did you think that The Last of Us was
There was
scary?
two specific parts that I thought were actually like genuinely horrifying.
Spoiler
Spoiler
alert,
alert.
everybody.
So,
Tell us.
keep in mind I played The Last of Us 2 in my dungeon of an apartment, zero light. All there was the TV, and I had nice
Let's
noise canceling
go.
Bose headphones plugged in. So I
Yes,
had
dude. Yes.
complete surround sound. Everything was amazing. Like the TV was fine. It's not like it looked good.
I
Yeah, it
thought
looked
that makes a
good.
difference.
So the
Yeah.
part when Ellie gets to the basement in the hospital and there's that one super one,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yes,
entire
yes.
build up like literally it took me twice as long as I feel like it should have because I was scared to genuinely peek around every corner. I was like because
Right?
the the level design of how, like, the storytelling through the actual level of like seeing all of the destruction and the blood and the holes ripped through all the fucking places. I was like,
Yes.
you know you're gonna get it, but what is it gonna, what are you gonna get? And that fight, the the
What is
entire
it?
fight took me so, like it probably took me 2.5 hours because I kept losing because it was so, it to me,
Yeah.
like I think I get the appeal of horror games because it was the perfect amount of action and scary and being like, this thing legitimately is a challenge. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
And then the other time was in that skyscraper.
Well, and
That whole place, I was like, I need to be done with this
yeah.
and I need to like get past because this is too much for me.
I think for me that's like the scene with the big monster in the basement was that was like scary for two ways. At like just like at a kind of scary movie like affective, like dude pops out and he just like rips your throat
Yeah.
out if he touches you. And that's scary in of itself, but then there's like a kind of video game design level where the way the game works also makes it scary because you know like many like the Resident Evil games or other kind of similar horror adventure games, part of what makes it so scary is that like everything in the whole world is trying to kill you, and there's like
Yeah.
9 bullets total. So there's like not enough resources, and the thing about that monster in the basement is that you have to fight through a lot of monsters that aren't in the basement before you
Right.
get to the basement. So like a very real fear is that you'll run out of ammo before
Dude,
that
and I
dude
and
dies.
the
And
like
that
when I finally beat him, I was on like, I was scraping like the bottom of the barrel and
yeah,
I was like,
had like
what the
one
fuck?
and like no health left. And that was just how I had to continue playing the game. Super good. That yeah, those scenes were like
Oh my
terrifying
gosh.
for sure. Yeah, and that was that. And the other thing about that game I like, because it is fun to play. Like I just enjoyed
Yeah.
playing it. It's a fun, like the controller felt good, because I had that like fancy PS5.
Oh,
And then it just
Clarkson.
like it just works. But and I don't get to play video games as often as I used to. I used to really like storytelling games. I still do. But like for me, I just don't have as much like I can't sit down and play a video game for 3 hours. And what made The Last of Us Part 2 so compelling is that the story is so immersive, it's
Exactly.
so good.
100%.
It's like playing through like a really good movie. And this was cool. This happened to me. I want to hear if this happened when you played it. I'd be playing it and I would be so sucked into the story that I couldn't stop. But the story is so dark and miserable and upsetting that the longer I would play it, the shittier I would feel. But I couldn't stop because it just like it really sinks its teeth into you. I don't know
A
what
hundred
how did
percent.
you
And
feel about that?
so I was playing it at a time when Renee was actually going uh to work instead of doing all virtual. So she would be like, "Okay, I'm going to be gone basically the whole day. I'll see you later." And I would be like,
Uh,
"Okay, well, I'm going to play a little bit." And I would just exactly be locked in until she came back. And even like, because normally I think even for story driven games, I think a lot of cutscenes are like, okay, like they're
See,
kind
I
of.
love I love that shit.
I
I wish
just
there
feel
were
like they're
more
a
cutscenes
lot
in The
of
Last
them
of Us.
to me lately, but like also I haven't played like a really good story driven game. Like the last couple have been like Assassin's Creed games, and those just kind of suck. The story sucks now. Um,
Haven't been good since
yeah,
I was in
literally like
college.
the the last
My
one I
hot take.
remember that was, the story was really good. Yeah, it was probably like two Brotherhood. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the
Oh
Ezio
yeah,
stuff. That was
I
the game.
think
It fell
I think
off after
Revelations is
Ezio.
probably like one of my favorite games. Be as a whole, like even how it ties up Ezio's story and love that.
Mhm.
But like these cutscenes, I was like exactly how you said. Like it felt like it was a movie, and it felt like you were playing through that movie. And especially, I think the experience, the experience.
Meta, we went
Shit,
meta.
we did go into the
Yes.
metaverse. If you're catching this in the metaverse, welcome. Um, but I was like, it literally like the experience that I had built for it, being in that pitch black, and that was the only thing that I was like sucking in. It really felt like I was. I was also thinking like how awesome that would be to play it at like an IMAX or like at a theater, because you know how you can rent out the theaters and play. You can hook
Yes.
up your fucking PlayStation to it, and they'll. I saw a tweet about that. I don't know if that's actually real, but like that would be so badass to play because it is to that scale, cinematically.
Yeah. So we're talking about the kind of cinematic nature, and I went back into time and pulled up some texts between you and I, because you played this game about a year before I did, so you got to kind of enjoy it. So I wanna can I share
I
some of
would
these
love to.
texts about The Last
We
of Us?
need to pause for 1 second because I've been housing water. I'm literally just gonna pee real quick and then be back.
Oh,
Okay, I'll be
dude.
back.
Okay, I'm gonna go get some water. Okay. Well, let's leave this in though. Hi, Desi. Yay, Desi. Who's a good puppy? Who's a good puppy? Yeah. Come sit with me. Come be in the pod. Yo. At DJ Dez in the
Oh, I
pod.
was gonna bring sweats, but
Yeah.
he's not camera ready.
The fucking
Dude,
cat.
they
Cats
are.
are pricks.
Okay, so read
All
off the
right.
text. Let's hear it.
Okay. So I have some texts, because I think that like we can talk about how we feel about this game all day. I think this
But
tells the story.
reactions.
Okay. Here's the example. On Sunday, October 17th at 11:49 p.m., I texted you and said, "All right, I said, you were right. This Abby shit isn't half bad." And that's referring to a part of the game when you play as a different character. You wrote back at 12:30 a.m. in all caps, "Right? It just takes a minute to get good." Then at 2:23 a.m. Monday, October 18th, I texted you and said, "Me playing The Last of Us 2 all night, LMFAO." And it was a screen cap of a text that my wife had sent me 10 minutes earlier where she said, "Go to bed, you're going to be grumpy tomorrow." That's one example. Here's another example from Wednesday, October 20th. Okay, at 11:33 p.m., I texted you and said, "Man, that character didn't need to die. Sad face." You said, "Bro, you're literally my favorite part of the game." At 11:50, I said that sequence was insane. Easily some of the most intense gameplay I've ever experienced. 10 out of 10. Holy shit, Abby rules. Okay. Then at midnight exactly, you said, Holy fuck, I'm so glad I got to see your live reaction to the best sequence of my favorite game of all time. Right? And at 12:01, I said, "What the fuck?" in all caps. Then at 12:10, oh, that was okay. That's all part
Oh
of the
my
same
god.
shit.
Yeah, if you could see on the screen, it's just
Okay,
a
so then a
bunch
bunch
of
of characters, a bunch of characters died at 12:11. I said, "Guess you could say Ellie is dot 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 the last dot 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 of us," which you laugh emoji at. You laugh emoji at that. Um, then at 12:30, I said a character was not being nice. 12:40, I said this game is unreal, and you emphasized that text. At 1 a.m., you said, "Bro, the game is a fucking masterpiece." At two, at two, at 2 a.m., I wrote, "Well, killing that character would have brought me no joy." At 2:15, I just said, "Man." Period. And I think that is maybe where we can leave it. At 10:05 a.m., you wrote back and said, "Bro, so brutal," which is like really the only way
it
to
really.
describe The Last of Us Part Two. If you like horror games, if you like action games, if you like feeling shitty, boy, do I have
So
a
where do
good
you
game for
stand on
you.
it? Because a lot of people like, it's still super divisive to even to like have a stance one way because but
Yeah,
I fully on the record since I finished it, I have always loved it. Like I
yeah,
thought the ending we're not going to say what the ending was. I thought the ending was
right.
kind of unsatisfying, but it felt fitting.
Well, was it unsatisfying or was it not
I
a
think that's
happy
what it
ending?
is. Like it like
You know what I mean?
the way I felt at the end, I was like I just feel like shit. And then I was like, well,
Yeah.
that's the point. Like and
That's,
it's deserved. And I was
yeah.
like, okay, like because of that, then I get why like it didn't get a happy ending or
Right. I think that okay, so for me, I think there are two reasons. I think there are three reasons why the game is so divisive. And the first reason I'm going to dismiss because it's not even worth giving attention to. Like one of the main characters is a queer woman, and I think that
is
there
that a
is an
reason why people
element
don't
of the
like
gaming
queer women?
world. Yeah, like there's like an element of like, gamer bros where it's already like a big enough ask that you have to be a girl, you know? And then also that the girl is like not heteronormative, upset people. And I'm not even
Yeah,
giving
that's
air to that. Like that doesn't
yeah,
even
that's
get
so
oxygen for me. That's dumb. Like fuck you. All homophobes are
and that is a
pieces of
hard
shit.
stance for
Yeah, that's how we feel here at Show and Tell with Tone and Tone. If you're a homophobe, fuck you. Uh, I mean, sorry, like I don't
no.
have a better way to say that. Shouts out to any relatives that are watching this. Sorry, I'm cursing. Um, but okay, so that's one reason I think why the game was so divisive. Another reason, um, I guess this is sort of a soft spoiler, but you play a significant amount of the game, not playing as the perceived main character of the game. And that was
I
tough for
abs
me at
I
first, but the
absolutely
game
hated it.
eventually earned it. Oh, I thought somebody was home.
I
Um, anyway, yeah, I hated it at first. I wanted to play the whole game as Ellie. The game eventually convinced me that for the story they were trying to tell, what they did made sense. So I'm going to dismiss
right.
that controversy too. The third controversy kind of connected to what you said. The ending, it's definitely not a happy ending. There are ways, if you want to sit around and think about it, you can convince yourself that it's a happy ending. I'm not gonna because it's very obvious the story that the game told wanted to tell. But then even more broadly, the whole game is
Yeah.
miserable. Like it sucks. It's super dark, it's super dreadful, and it's like mega violent. It's
Yeah.
unrelentingly violent. And I think that was like a point of controversy where like you know uh could say that like well they wanted to like tell a story about like misery and violence and revenge, and they did. There might have been a way to do that less explicitly and less overwhelmingly. But then again, like that was like what they like that was the experience that they
Right.
wanted you to have. So I understand why not everybody would like the game. Not everybody goes to video games for that kind of experience, but like there are books that don't have happy endings that are violent and miserable. There are movies that have unhappy endings that are like I just think that like in order to appreciate The Last of Us, you have to go into it knowing what it
Yeah.
is and also expecting what it can offer. And I'm not saying people that don't want what that game provides are like idiots or stupid or something,
You have
but
to know
like I
you
think
have to
I
know
think
what you're
those
coming
things,
into.
yeah, like those things make the game valid for you to not like it, but I don't think those are reasons why we should say that the game is bad. I think it's a good game for the specific
Desi
experience it
going nuts
provides,
on
but
those
that not
headphones.
everybody is. Yeah, she wants to eat these. But like not everybody wants what Last of Us Part 2 has to provide. If you're like in the mood to feel shitty for a few weeks, play it in your living room with headphones on in the dark overnight.
It'll
Like
really
if you're
fuck your
like, you
shit
know
up.
what,
But it
or
it's I don't know. I felt like I don't know. I just said unsatisfied by the ending, but like the ending really was like it felt like a good resolution. It wasn't a good end. It wasn't like a satisfying end.
wasn't a
It wasn't a
happy
happy ending,
ending,
but it was like a very
but it
satisfying conclusion to both. Because this, I mean, this
yeah,
this game is essentially one or two stories that are coming together, and it's telling both of those stories at the same time,
yeah.
and it's like
Right, right.
I think the way it ends. God, this makes me just want to fucking play it. Like
I never ever want
I
to play it
literally
again.
like every time you've talked
I
about
won't.
it since you've hit me up, I'm like, fuck, I really want to play it, and then I'm like, do I really want to put myself through that again?
No. I played the first one twice because, I got it when it originally came out on PS3, and then when they remastered it for PS4, it like came pre-installed, so I had no reason
Right.
not to replay it. And I did really enjoy playing it twice. I feel like part 2 is like extremely heavier than like part 1 is not a fun walk through the
Yeah,
park. Thematically it's still really
but
dreary, but
two is
like
like a
um
one is like a slap in the face. Two is like you're getting curb stomped.
2 is like if you got
Yeah.
hit by a missile. Yeah, I don't know. And again, maybe that is a flaw. Maybe that does make it imperfect. But I mean, I played it, I experienced it. I don't really need to experience it again, and that doesn't make me
Yeah.
think it. That I don't think less of it because it's not something I ever want to do again.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, and I truly can't think of another
Meanwhile,
example.
I'm sitting over here thinking
Um,
like, ooh, I kind of want to see if that spore monster that we just talked about will make me shit my pants again.
well, that's the other thing. I mean, I
Which
don't,
is literally like what
I
I'm
think that
thinking
like
now. I'm
one of
like,
the,
oh man, should I just like cuz I mean, now I could do a new game plus like have all the guns, be ready. But then,
that would help. That would
there
help.
everything that I there was something to replaying the game like hardest difficulty with like no heads up display or anything. A lot of s- stuff that I read or videos I watched, they're like, that is almost like the way that you should play it because it makes it so much more difficult. But I think I already had a hard enough time playing it. But I like wonder if I
Yeah,
could do
I
it.
wouldn't.
And I don't know.
I think I played it. I mean, I had the HUD on, but I think I played it on
I
like
think
the
I did
medium
too.
difficulty, which is my new default. I usually try to play like
Yeah.
not on hard, but like all you know, like a new Call of Duty game is gonna come out next week or last month. That's where I'm at time wise, and I'm gonna I usually I'll play like the campaign on like
I've
medium
never played
or
a Call of Duty campaign
second or
ever.
like fun. I mean, they're like the opposite of The Last of Us Part 2. You know, like if The Last of Us Part 2 is like a difficult Russian novel, Call of Duty campaigns are like the Transformers movies. If you just don't want to think, if you want like popcorn and explosions and like just dumb, vague war propaganda platitudes screamed at you by an angry man, Call of Duty campaign. They're fun, dude. You don't have to
I
think.
mean,
It's
when they
great. It's good
fully
shit.
remaster Modern Warfare 2, I think I'll jump into it. No, I know, but
Did.
they didn't do multiplayer. Yeah.
Oh, not the multiplayer. Yeah, yeah. Supposedly they're still working on
Like
it.
I want to buy that
Supposedly.
game. I want to get
That
and that's
campaign
what
is
I've
fun.
heard. I didn't play it.
You never did it though. Oh man, the story. Other than the like overt Islamophobic racism in that game, it's a fun. That's a
That's
fun
the one that has
campaign.
the hotel or not the hotel, the airport, right? Yeah.
Airport. Yeah,
I feel like we
yeah,
just
that
talked about this. Did
controversial
we
no
just talk about
Russian.
this?
I mean, we talk about a lot of stuff
Yeah,
kind of often.
I'm having deja vu on that one.
We're really,
Time really isn't
you
a
know,
thing.
like in the yeah, no, dude, no shit. In the true spirit of a podcast that's just two guys talking, I feel like we're very fortunate to have each other's ear with some regularity. You know, lucky us, and lucky listener slash viewer that you get our ear too
Welcome
now.
to Show and Tell. Welcome to Jurassic
And
Park.
hey, maybe that's Jurassic Park.
All right. So
Nice. Maybe that's a good place
I
to
think that
park
is,
the
and
bus.
we will roll next week for the topics.
Well, no, we have to roll for next week. We don't know what our next
Yeah,
topic
we
is
don't
gonna be
have the
yet.
list.
Well, we have to pick what we're going to talk
Okay.
about for when we meet again. So, do you want to go
Yeah,
off the
here.
list? I mean,
Actually, I think I yeah.
I'm like 90% sure I DM'd it to you on Twitter. Oh, you know what, dude? I sent it to you on
I
Discord.
don't know how to do that.
Can I see the chat?
Discord. You can't see the chat? I don't.
Where do I go? I don't use Discord.
I was going to say I
I'm
don't
a
use
grown
Discord
man.
because I'm not a nerd. But here we are, both of us on Discord.
Yeah, I know. We're like, who the hell are we? Like, we're like, oh, I don't use Discord because I'm cool. No,
Message.
no, I'm not.
Okay, here we go. I got it. Here we go.
I
Um,
good shit.
Okay.
Come here, Desi. Ugh.
Movies, music, TV, food, desserts, snacks, podcast, guilty pleasure, ultra specific childhood memory, board/card game, spots stuff.
All right, just listen. Just roll it till you hit a number.
All right,
that
here we
already
go,
wrote.
viewers. Oh,
Here we go.
we are on 40 minutes. 15. 15. It says
have a
Tony's
15?
pick. So what do you pick?
Haha. Let's talk about fucking. I feel like I want to go weird, but maybe we shouldn't go weird for like
Don't
the
go
early
full
episodes.
bleep.
No. Okay, add this to the list. Hat. Okay, but we're not doing hat for like the 4th episode because we
You
want to
mean
not
like
go
hats?
weird. Like literally, like we're gonna show and tell a hat.
Oh, I gotcha.
But I don't want to.
Dude,
I don't want to go weird
that's a
just
good
yet.
one.
I want
I
to. I want to
fucking-
do some like. Yeah, I wanted because I feel like you and I are both like enjoy
Very
like we have
much
a
are
lot of hats between
hat
the two
guys.
of us. I'm a big hat guy, so hat should be on the list. But Tony's pick, we're gonna show and tell. Let's go. Fucking movie franchise.
Franchise.
Let me add to that movie franchise. Let me just go extended media
Media
franchise.
franchise.
Okay, so like you're obviously gonna do Marvel, and because it's media franchise, you can talk about movies, TV shows,
Ooh.
comic books, video game. You can
You
talk
know,
about
I
all the
might
shit.
I might pick a
Okay,
different
so
franchise.
that well, hey, I don't want to spoil it. We'll see what you pick, but you're like in love with a lot of franchises. I
All
feel
right,
like you're
so
a franchise guy.
I kicked this last topic off, so that means you kick off next week.
So I'm for when we record next
Yes.
month,
And
yesterday.
3 weeks from now, when we've already recorded yesterday's, we'll be done. All right.
We're gonna be showing and
Here,
telling franchises. That's
hope you
cool.
join.
Tony's pick. See you next time for Show and Tell with Tone and Tone.
Boom. All right.
We out.